Your emotions are not reliable, and I'm gonna hopefully convince you in this video. Hi guys, I'm Suzu. I'm a YouTuber who likes to speak bluntly and look for solutions. So if you are so in for that, you've come to the right place. Now let's get going. So the idea that our emotions controls a lot of things is unfortunately more prevalent than you think. Because a lot of people need to feel something in order to get something done. Do you feel like that? But how often do you notice that when you say you'll do something or when you feel like doing something, that time never happens or it's conditional? Yeah, so hopefully I'll convince you why this is a pretty crap idea. Buckle up because the things I'm about to say might even shake you to do the things which you have probably stopped yourself from doing 10 years ago. Trigger warning as well in case this does disrupt anyone, though it comes from tough love. When you are always focusing on something being done because of a certain emotion, you are almost telling yourself or setting yourself up for failure. Because what if you feel motivated once a month or twice a month to do something? So you have a project, but you only work on it once or twice a month. But the project isn't even done. What do you do for the rest of the month? And that is exactly what the issue is. You need to do no matter what you feel. So let's just address one thing. There's a difference between this and burnout. Burnout is when you genuinely have done so much your body needs a break, and that's normal. So you're going to dislike what you do. But when you do get back to your routine, it will come back to you naturally. That's how you know that it was just burnout. If something's not meant for you, it's not meant for you. You can't force things. And that's also another thing that you should acknowledge. But if we are telling ourselves that we are just going to wait until we're motivated to do something, we've got an issue. Okay. A while ago, I made a video and it was about motivation being a myth. And I still believe that to this day. Motivation is a myth because it's just based on what you personally emit. You won't feel quote unquote motivated unless you have the thoughts of something that makes it motivating. But it's also a myth because it gives you the impression that you need that exact feeling, frequency, to do a set thing. But you don't need to do that. The only thing you need to do is be consistent so that you can get whatever it is that you need to get done. Because when you do things regardless, you are still getting the work done, right? Now, some people think they do work better when they're motivated. Listen to me. That could be far from the truth. There were times I forced myself to do something, such as drawing, and I noticed my drawings were the best when I forced myself compared to when I was quote unquote motivated. And other times we find that when you keep doing stuff, that's how you improve. You can't improve something you don't even do. And improving is part of the journey. So you might as well do all the mess ups now and just get better and better as you keep progressing. The thing is, life is so much shorter than you think, and you want to do everything you can to get yourself a place. Okay, if it's easy. Oh, if someone helps me do this. Oh, if I feel happy, No, you do it regardless. Because what you want in life is not going to wait for you. And it's definitely not telling you, okay, only come to me when you're happy. Like, I'll give you guys one example. And I know it's religious, but that's okay. I'm a woman of God, okay? Alhamdulillah. So I pray 5 times a day. I'm a Muslim. There are times where I feel sad, numb, like I just feel tired, but it's an obligation. I still do it. And I feel great afterwards. So it's the same with your tasks. You see them as an obligation and you basically do them, no matter how you feel. But it's still good for you. You shouldn't work yourself to exhaustion, but you still need to get discipline where you need to. So the reason why I mentioned my prayers is because yes, it is mandatory, but it's also something which I find really relaxing and calming. So that helps me as well. So at least with what you're doing, make sure there's a calming and relaxing aspect to it or something that helps you feel better about it. So when I draw and I feel like it's too excessive, sometimes I put a podcast on, or I like to listen to, other people yap while I work, because that gives me a little bit more of a drive. And it also reminds me of why I'm doing this in the first place. And no matter how I feel about the prayers, right? I always pray. I always make sure that I do it as best as I can. No matter how tired I am, no matter how upset or angry I can feel, I still do it because I care about it. I love it. And that's the same with your dream. If you miss a day, okay, it's not the end of the world and taking breaks is fine. But if you keep missing it after another, it's going to take a part of you away. And you're just going to lose trust in yourself. So the more you take these actions, the more trust you have in yourself. The more trust you have, the more self-belief you have. And from people who know and understand, self-belief is key when it comes to achieving your goals. So in order to have that, you need trust. And trust comes from consistent, repetitive actions. And let me tell you something that a lot of people probably won't tell you as much. It's boring, okay? Doing actions repetitively can seem boring, but it's crucial. So doing things for success and doing things to attain something, it can be mundane, but it's so important to do. And oftentimes the things that we keep doing repetitively, they pile up and they become something bigger. So what I described as this is like a portfolio. At first, it feels like, okay, I'm just doing one drawing, two drawing. It feels like nothing. But when I keep doing this whole boring process, because it can be boring, I put one picture and then another and then another. Eventually, there's like 20 or 30. That becomes my portfolio. Every single piece was a part of this puzzle, was a part of this portfolio, but they're all as important as one another. Like, what if the requirement was 30 or 40 images? I can't get away with 29 or 39 if I need that exact number, for example. Sometimes people don't care about numbers, and that's all good. But that's the thing. We just need to understand that we can't be reliant on these things. And that was one of the things I found difficult when I went back into YouTube. I felt such a drive after coming out of a very painful situation with my studies. But I also remembered that I can't rely on these feelings. It is very easy to say, okay, I really want XYZ, but only when I feel like it. Are you going to say, that's basically like saying, I want this dream because I feel like it. No, you want it regardless. When you're upset, you want this dream. When you're happy, you want this dream. When you're angry, you still want this dream. And that will reflect from your actions. That's the difference between someone who wants something and someone who would do everything in their power to get it. So many people say, okay, I want this, but very little people go out to venture, to research, to know what works. And that's what you guys need to understand. So when I feel low, I listen to a podcast. I always stay productive. I stay in a state where I'm always doing something beneficial. Even when I have days where I don't want to draw and I procrastinate, which happens a lot, I still listen to podcasts. I still watch something educational. I watch something to rewire my mind. You guys know how much I love that stuff. Or I work on merch. You know, there's so many things to keep yourself busy with, not just one thing. And I guess that's another thing. Like, yeah, it'll be boring to be repetitive and it's normal, but don't bore yourself to insanity. Do some variation during your day because a mundane, boring day can really take a toll on you if you don't have any variation. So yes, like I recently just bought some books because I was like, you know what? I need something to distract me from just working all day. And books are a really good way as well. They're educational, but I also like to read it because it helps me. It helps to heal a part of me. So I don't have to feel like I'm always in work mode, which sometimes can feel hard to escape, but that's the thing. I'm always showing that I'm ready for this dream and I don't want to just say I quote unquote want it because that's such a 5-year-old excuse and thing to say. Because anyone could want it. It's like kind of like an interview. Why do you want a job? Why do you want a specific thing? You don't just want it. You strive for it. Why do you want this and nothing else? Why does everything else feel unsatisfying to you? And it's not because you're selfish or because you are demanding. It's because you know your worth and you know you do everything in your power to get it. That's how I see it. And we don't quit. We're not quitters. You see why I find so many of these chests? I don't even know their locations, I promise. I mean, I should look at the interactive map, but I'm lazy. But I keep finding them. Alignment. But whatever. So we just have to take a chill pill. I love saying that. But yeah, you guys just need to acknowledge that life is not going to just give you things. That'll be fun, like thanks life, but it doesn't do that. So yeah, you have to be the one who decides that for yourself. What kind of life are you gonna settle with? Like, what is it that you want? And will you do that regardless of how you feel? Because I guarantee you, so many people wait for the right there's no right moment. When people say, I'll start when I'm ready, you're never ready. You're going to start like an amateur, and you know what amateurs are like? They're imperfect, scrappy drawings or videos or whatever. That's how you improve. You can't improve something you don't do. So when people say, I'm going to do this when I'm ready, you're never going to be ready. Never, ever going to be ready. That's why I stopped making excuses and start doing stuff. There were many times where I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not ready. I'm scared. I did it. F it. Because imagine I didn't start and do stuff. And that's the part of improving. It doesn't mean that where you are now is where you're always going to be. So give yourself an opportunity to thrive in life. But don't set it on conditions where you're just going to feel better when you're motivated. Emotions are so unreliable, and anxiety is another one. There were many times I was going to cave into my anxiety, like making commentary videos. Like, what if people say that I'm cringe, or what if people say that they disagree, or that I shouldn't speak, or blah, blah. But when I did, I realized how sweet people were. Honestly. I realized that people were just sweethearts, and it made me realize that if I caved into the anxiety, it would have just kept me stuck. And the other thing is that anxiety lies to you a lot. How many times, you can even count if needed, do you notice that your anxiety lies to you? How many times have you proved your anxiety wrong? Even when you meet someone or do something for the first time. How many times have you acknowledged that, oh wow, this is actually not that bad? Yeah, sometimes it is, but you gave it a try, didn't you? Or maybe it was bad, but not as bad as you thought. That's why feelings are so unreliable. And before anyone says, oh, but I need feelings, well, listen to me. I'm not saying you're saying bye to your feelings, okay? You're a human being, not a robot. Feeling sad is normal. Feeling happy is normal. Feeling angry is normal. But what I'm saying is, don't make a decision solely based on your emotions. And let me tell you something, okay? One thing I do want to say about feelings, though, always work no matter what you feel or how you feel, but never, I repeat, never make a decision when you're angry or when you're like depressed or when you're feeling really low. Always make a decision when you're rational, especially a big decision. So, you know, like when I feel like giving up at times, I always wait till I'm calm. Like, am I sure I want this? Most of the times it comes from burnout or just feeling depressed. That's the only time I will tell you, like, your feeling there needs to be studied. Like, you need to make sure that you're in a rational state. Why am I finding so many of these? Whatevs. I guess I'm just on that frequency. Whoa! Come down! Whoa! But yeah, that's literally how I see it. Oh no. Mommy. Okay, let's do whatever. Like, seriously. Just because you're angry doesn't mean you let go of the one thing you love so much. Think about a loved one. Would you just be rude to someone because you're in a bad mood? Please don't, God forbid. But like, if there's someone you really love, you would just be kind to them regardless. You won't be like, oh, I don't feel happy today, I'm gonna be mean to you. That's stupid. Don't do that. But that's how it is with your dream. Like, you love it, right? It's good overall. So you have to treat something good overall like it's good overall. And I think I just lost this or whatever. So your dream is not dependent on your emotions. That's why I think of it like a soldier, like in a war. Like, oh, the war is bad. They want to win. But they're not just like, okay, I'm motivated to fight. No, like, your life's on the line. And that's kind of like with your dreams. Like, if it means so much to you, you'll bleed through it. Hopefully not literally, but metaphorically. Like, if it means so much to you, you will nurture it. And that's why I say it's like a loved one. You do everything in your power to get it, and you won't be someone who's just going to focus on feelings. Yo, that's the thing. You're not going to be like, okay, I don't feel blah, blah. No. Okay, you don't feel like that, so what? I work and complain. I still do stuff. Whatever I'm supposed to do, I do. Because if we keep making excuses like, oh, blah, blah, we're just going to set ourselves up for failure. You could have worked the entire month, with breaks, obviously, instead of just once or twice a month. What did you do for the rest of the 28, 29 days? You just can't be reliant on these things. They're not guaranteed to you. In fact, sometimes no matter what you do, you'll never feel quote unquote motivated. You just do it. It's like autopilot. So that's why I say it can be boring, because it's very repetitive, but that's how you get stuff done. And sometimes you realize, okay, it felt repetitive, but then you realize the actual fruits of that labor. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I stuck with this. And then you start to enjoy what you do. And then your motivation sometimes goes up. Even more, actually. But it comes from building it. And even if you don't feel motivated, I'll definitely argue that motivation does drive you forward to do it more, because you just feel happier. But when you make a habit of just doing it repetitively because you love it so much, you won't chance anything on your feelings. So that's what I want to say. You have feelings, that's fine. You can be sad, you can be angry. But when it comes to things like your dream, when it comes to things you want to do in your life, don't let your feelings be a factor that determines whether they happen or not. Because regret is the biggest type of thing. Like, regret is like, that is going to be like your biggest enemy. And nothing will sting like that. Regret is definitely one of the worst emotions ever. So make sure that whatever you're doing, you're happy, you're content, and it's something that you'll look back in like 5-10 years or whatever, or even 5-10 days and say, wow, I'm proud of me for doing this. I don't care how small it is, you did something. You fought against the version of you that was like, no, I don't want to do it. That's big. Arguing with yourself is big. That itself is an achievement. So yeah, hopefully this wakes some of you guys up. And if you do if you want to support me further, my coffee page is there as well. And I have merch, so please kindly support me there as well. Link is in my description. And oh, I feel so elegant, like this ballerina. But yeah, don't chance your dream. Like, what if someone told you you'll never feel motivation until like once a year or something? You can't chance it on that. I know it feels easier, but that's the trap, guys. And remember, you can't be motivated for something you don't even do. So make sure that you make a habit of it. And then you won't even have to think about motivation. You'll just be like, you know what? I'm doing this. I've done it. I've proved it. And before you realize it, you will thank yourself so hard because you did something that most people couldn't do. So yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I know, I'm actually speaking so generically. Wow, what happened to me? And I hope you guys take care of yourselves. Seriously, you're amazing. You rock. Oh my god, that's corny. Just don't chance your dream. Don't chance something precious to you just because of a fluke or a fleeting thing like emotions. Seriously. You're worth more than that, and your emotions can actually be shaped by your life decisions. Remember that as well. So you'll naturally feel better when you chase your goals. So I hope this helps as well. So even if you're not motivated, you can still feel that contentment